All right, guys, today we're going to be talking about slope from 2 points. How can I find my slope when given 2 points or a graph or a table instead of a graph? So first, let's review. What is slope? Remember, slope is our rate of change. We know it as our rise over run, how much we go up over how much we go over, or our change in y over our change in x. Please make sure you have this written in your notes because I cannot tell you enough that this is so important for you guys to know. So then, let's talk about what happens if I don't have a graph. How am I going to calculate my slope? Well, you can find slope as long as you have a graph, a table, or 2 points. Okay, any of those things will help you be able to find slope for. We've already taught you how to find it on a graph. You calculate your rise over your run, you count how much you went up, then put it over how much you went to the side, and then you calculate it. Let's talk about how we do it if we only have points. There's 2 steps that you're going to do. You're going to start by labeling your points. And what I mean by label is you're going to label it x1, y1, x2, y2. Here's why you're doing that. You're doing that so that way you can easily move on to step 2, which is plug in the formula. Let's say I make all of my 1's in red. So that's my x1, that's my y1, and all of my 2's in blue. I'm going to take this x1 and I'm plugging it in right here. I'm going to take this y1 and I'm plugging it in right here. I'm going to take my 2's and do my x2 and plug it in right here, and my y2 and plug it in here. After I've plugged it in, I solve. I'm going to give you guys a few more moments to make sure that you have this equation written down. If you need to pause to make sure you have everything written down, please do so. But remember, you're going to start by labeling your points, x1 and y1, x2 and y2, then you plug into the equation. So let's practice. Okay, we're going to find the slope from these 2 points. I'm going to start by labeling it. I'm going to say x1, y1, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to label this x2, y2. Now remember, the formula for slope is y equals the change in y, is m equals the change in y over the change in x, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so now I'm going to plug them in. Okay, my y2 I'm going to do first, and that's 5. Then I'm going to put my line, and I'm going to do my x2, which is 9. Then I'm going to subtract both. Then I'm going to go to my y1, which is 3, and my x1, which is 2. Now I'm going to subtract and solve it. 5 minus 3 is 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. It is going to produce a fraction at the end. If this fraction was something I could reduce, I would. But since I can't reduce 2 over 7, that's going to be my slope. If you need to pause this or rewind to rewatch what I did, please do so. All right, I'm going to move on now to the next practice problem. All right, we've got 2 more practice problems here. So once again, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to label your points. So I'm going to say x1, y1, x2, y2. And remember, my formula once again is m equals the change in y over the change in x, which can also be written as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, now I'm going to plug them in. So y2 is 8, minus y1 is 4, x2 is 6, minus x1 is 0. Okay, 8 minus 4 is 4, 6 minus 0 is 6. Can I reduce 4 over 6? Yes, I can. I can take 2 out of them both and get 2 over 3. So my slope here is 2 over 3. All right, let's try a different one. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start on this one. Once again, I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so then what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to do my formula, which is m equals the change in y over the change in x equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now I'm going to plug it in. Y2 is 3 minus y1, which is 11, over x2 is negative 6 minus x1, which is 10. All right, 3 minus 11. Well, if I have $3 in my pocket, but I have borrowed 11 from you, I am still going to owe $8 at the end of the day, so that's negative 8. If I owe you $6 and then I borrow 10 more, I have negative 6 minus 10, which is negative 16. Because I have two negatives, that makes a positive. 8 over 16 can be reduced. I can take 8 out of both, and it gives me 1/2. Remember, if you need to still write this information, or you need me to go slower, then go back, rewind, pause, however you need it to work to solve these. I'm going to clear my slides now, and we're going to solve 2 more problems. All right, we're going to go on to our next one, and remember the very first thing that we do each and every time is we are going to label our points. So I'm going to do x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so now I'm going to use my formula, which is m equals the change in y over the change in x, which is the same thing as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so then let's plug it in. Y2 is 5 minus negative 3 for y1. And then x2 is 7 minus 7. Okay, whenever I subtract a negative, remember it's the same thing as adding. So 5 plus 3 is 8. But 7 minus 7 is 0. Uh-oh. Can I divide a number by 0? No, I cannot. So this is an undefined line. This is a line that goes straight up and down. It's undefined. All right, let's move on to our last one here. And that's going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. So now I'm going to go ahead and take these and I'm going to plug them into my equation, which is m equals the change in y over the change in x, which equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so I'm going to plug it in. Negative 14 minus 14 over negative 2 minus 5. Okay, if I borrowed $14 from you and then I borrow 14 more, I now owe negative $28. If I borrow $2 from you and then I borrow 5 more, I now owe $7. Negative and a negative cancel out. 28 divided by 7 is 4. My slope is 4. All right, there's one more situation I want to talk about before we get into the next slide, and that is what happens if we know that 8 divided by 0 makes it undefined. What happens if the 0 was on top here? If the 0 was on top, that would be a 0 slope, okay? Remember, we have 4 types of slope. We have the positive, the negative, the undefined, and the 0. When you have a 0 on the bottom, it makes it undefined. If you have a 0 on the top, it's a 0 slope. And then if you have a negative in your answer for your slope, it's a negative slope. If you have a positive, if it's a positive answer for your slope, it's a positive slope. We're going to try one more problem, and that's going to be this table here. Okay, you might be thinking, but this is not the same thing as an ordered pair. What do I do? Well, you do the exact same thing. You're going to say x1, y1, x2, y2. And now I'm going to subtract. I'm going to do 13, because remember my formula, sorry, I skipped a spot, is the change in y over the change in x equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to do 13, because that's my y2, minus 3, because that's my y1, over 5 minus 0. 13 minus 3 is 10. 5 minus 0 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is going to be 2. All right, my slope is 2. All right, now that I've solved that one, I want you guys to go on and I want you to complete checkpoint 6 in Summit, which is different slopes. I don't know why that says different stories. It's different slopes. All right, complete checkpoint 6 in Summit. Have a good day, guys.